And we also wanted to get information out potentially via postcards and or letters, and even a potential Facebook post regarding the efforts to make that corridor more safe, which would include lowering the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Anybody else have any additions to that report? I think that summed it up. Then we also discussed the road name change at Elm Street and McCracken Pike. We said that the court would need to be formally requested in writing to make any such change. That because it is a state highway, it would have to have express written approval of any name change from the state. That being in the city limits, it would also have to have city approval in writing that would be communicated to the court, and that we would make sure to have notice to the neighbors and neighborhood of this potential request if and when that is made. That was the sum of the road committee's meeting, and no formal action was taken. Moving on to reports. Madam Treasurer, your report, please.
Tonight's balance is $16,453,735.92.
And we need to ratify the September 5th, 2024 email vote authorizing the treasurer to sign all documents related to obtaining a procurement credit cards through the PNC Bank and to cancel all other credit card accounts as necessary.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gentry, second by Squire Carl. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Anything additional, Madam Treasurer? Any questions for the treasurer? Seeing none, thank you. Now I'd like to invite our county clerk, Sandy Jones, to provide an election update and a few other items for our consideration.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have met with our treasurer. We went over the proposed budget that we have in place that is in effect July 1 until 9/30/24. And I wanted just to confirm the monies that they were there before I presented anything to you. And I think you all maybe have the figures in front of you, but I have broken it down into 3 different categories. We've got 2 different things that we need to talk about that we haven't talked about in the past. I did mention at the last meeting that I would like for it to be considered to increase the precinct election officer's pay from $200 a day on election day to $250, from $25 for training to $50, for a total of $300 rather than the $250, rather than the $225 that they've been receiving. Our County Board of Election members, we have all agreed upon this, and I would like to present it to you all to see if you could approve that figure, that increase.
Madam Clerk, would you like us to take that up now? You want to go ahead and take care of the postcards first?
I can do that. Secondly, we have the postcard charge, which is $9,154. The increase in the size brought it up $500 from what we have been paying. I will be presenting a request for the postage that has to be paid first, so that check will need to be cut right away. That's $6,943.67, and that kind of holds up everything. The last proof was made today, so it's ready to go to press, but they have to have $6,943.67 before they will proceed.
So, Madam Clerk, is the estimate from United Direct Solutions in the amount of $9,515.49 for election mailers, is that the appropriate motion that you need to approve the postcards?
Yes, for the total, except with the understanding that it would be cut in 2 separate checks. The postage is required up front first, and then the balance of what is owed, that differs somewhat, but that's a ceiling, a max of what they would cost.
Thank you for that clarification. I would entertain two motions then. The first being the motion to approve the postage in the amount of $6,943.67 for the election mailers.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gill, second by Squire Varner. Are there any questions? Madam Clerk, you can confirm 694367. That's the amount.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The remainder of that, for a total of $9,515.49, would be the overall cost as estimate from United Direct Solutions for the election mailers. Is there a motion to approve the total cost as well? Motion by Squire
Second.
Gentry, second by Squire Carl. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And those two motions carry for you, Madam Clerk. So the next item is the election workers' pay proposal. Let me go ahead and open up the floor for any discussions or questions of the clerk. Again, the election officers would go from $200 on election day to $250. The amount of training, which is mandatory, they have to be at the training, that goes up from $25 to $50, with a full increase for election officers for their total time would go from $225 to $300 per election officer. And it is noted that the Board of Elections has recommended this and approved this prior to it coming to the fiscal court.
Yes.
Are there any questions? Squire Taylor, you're ready.
No, I'm sorry.
Getting ready to vote. I got
I'll make a motion.
it. You want to go ahead and make that motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, there's a motion on the table.
Second.
There's a second by Squire Gentry. Now I'd like to open up the floor for any discussion. I think we can all agree that the cost of everything has gone up, and the cost of election workers is going up. But I also think that it's more about recruiting and retaining the best, most qualified, honorable, honest people to help us run these elections, which in this day and time is worth much more than that
Yes.
to us as a county and to our voters. So I also think, and Madam Clerk, you could probably even weigh in on this some, but it's not an easy job. It's not, you're not just, collecting a check. It's a lot of time commitment, and there's a lot of activity and responsibility associated with that.
Absolutely. The training is extensive. There are about 11 items that are mandated by Kentucky law that they are to go over. I can say that during the training, I do the training myself, they're very engaged. It's not like they're really wondering when it's going to end. They're very attentive, and they realize the importance of the election laws. So I appreciate all of them and their commitment that they make year after year.
Thank you. And I would also say that one of the more low-key, I believe, achievements of this court has been investment in election integrity and security over the course of both this court and our former court. And when you invest in people, that is also a very, very important piece of that election security and integrity.
Yes.
So are there any other questions or comments regarding the motion on the table, which is the increase in pay for election officers? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. I thank you and all the precinct election officers, thank you. They will feel definitely valued. The other
And-
thing that I'd
yes.
like to discuss is we will have an expense this year comparable to what we did our last presidential election. We will have to retain absentee ballot processors for 23 days. The absentee ballot portal will open on September the 21st. That's a Saturday. We will be processing on that following Monday. This is going to require 2 workers. I will have to have a Republican and a Democrat for 3 hours each day. That's 23 days times 3 hours each day for 2 workers, $15 per hour. That's going to be $2,070. It is in the budget, but I didn't want to surprise anybody. I want to make sure that everybody knows that this is definitely needed. There's no way, with me being 2 deputies short, that I would be able to process 800. That's the estimated predicted amount of absentee ballots that we are expecting by the State Board of Elections that we're going to have in this period of time to process. So that will be one additional expense that you haven't seen in the past. There is a contract that I would like to discuss. I don't know if this is something that I somewhat hit on it earlier.
Yes.
The social media company that our adjoining counties have used that has proven to be very profitable for a lot of reasons. Our mediums are a little bit limited here by not having TV or radio. So other than our Woodford Sun that we have, social media is just about all that we do have. This is an avenue that hasn't been explored in the past, but the county that has used it, that was telling us about it, increased their early voting by 10%, and they didn't do anything differently from the prior election, other than add social media. And they hit on Instagram, social media. They know how to get in and do that boosting and all the things that they have to do that I don't have time to take care of, to pay attention to, but they do. For 2 months, they charge $17.50 a month, so it would be a contract price of, it's going to be $3,090, I think, at this point. That is something different, and I don't know, would we need a separate vote on that as well, Judge?
We would need to approve the contract. You have the name of the social media company?
Yes, it's Creekmore Marketing Design.
And just as an aside, that may be an effective way to contact residents of the Huntertown Road corridor, is to geofence and send targeted social media information to them. So I've got $3,500 as the total amount for that contract.
That was another company that was a little bit
Higher?
higher, and I didn't think that they were quite as reputable.
So this is $3,090
Yes.
for social media advertising to Creekmore Marketing and Design for $3,090. Is there a motion to approve that contract? Motion by Squire Carl, second by Squire Taylor. Are there any questions or discussion? That motion, of course, Madam Clerk, would include the ability for Madam Clerk to execute all the documents necessary thereto. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
There will be an increase, of course, in the postage, so I just wanted to make you aware. 800 ballots at $2.35 is going to be about $1,880. And Treasurer and I have talked about that, and that will hopefully come through on the credit card, so it will all be encapsulated as being part of the fiscal court's expense for postage. And the last thing that I have is I have this on my website. It's Kentucky County Clerks Are United in Securing Our Elections. Anything that you would like to know about how secure our office keeps an election, it's front and back, and there's a lot of different information on that. So I'm hoping we can use this and kind of debunk some of the question about how we run an election. So other than that, that's all I have.
And Madam Clerk, would you mind to maybe just go over the early voting days again? Maybe some of our deadlines as well, just to put them on the record so that folks can hear them again and help us disseminate that information?
Absolutely. So our first early voting day is on Halloween, October the 31st. We start at 6 a.m. and it is at 2 p.m. that afternoon. That would be our 8 hours the first day. The next day on Friday, November the 1st, we start at 10, and that goes until 6 o'clock that evening. And then Saturday, November the 2nd, is 9 to 5. And these are all the 3 days before our Tuesday election that is on November the 5th, the following Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions for the county clerk in preparation of the election? Seeing none, I really appreciate this court's attention to the election, and Madam Clerk, you and your team, both your deputies and their election workers, we really appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're more than welcome to be excused.
Thank you so much.
All right, we also have with us the Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Rich Pichter, to talk about our Big Spring Park update.
Yes, and let me get this computer plugged in here, and Jordan will switch it over. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the playground design mostly, but before we do that, I want to make sure everyone is familiar with the area we're talking about. So the playground that I'm going to show you pictures of, this is the original playground area here, roughly 12,000 square feet. And there is a concrete curb that goes around that the fence attaches to. There'll be this little area right here. You can see the sidewalk. That's a concrete sidewalk that will merge back into the existing sidewalk that's currently there. And it comes off of our new plaza area. The sidewalk that currently is going this way and connects here is being moved down here to get closer to the large pavilion, and then kind of mirror the creek as we go up along, and then join back in the path and head back out as it always has done. This is what is called the plaza area. In this area here is the Great Lawn. Nothing is happening to this pavilion. That pavilion is staying intact. However, the retaining wall and the steps in this area are all being redone and refinished. One of the new features here is you'll see there's two smaller pavilions right in this area. This one right here shows where the bathrooms will be. There'll be two unisex bathrooms in there and a small storage closet that will house cleaning supplies, the Wi-Fi system, and the security camera system, which will encompass this entire area, will be under 24-hour surveillance. The road, as you know, is closed at this point. That's because we have the brick pavers going in this area, a raised sidewalk coming down here, which will put the pedestrians up elevated, so it'll definitely slow traffic because it's going to be a major speed bump. And then this arc that you see here is a concrete arc that's 16 feet wide, designed, will have electrical outlets all the way through it, so food trucks and other venues, other things can happen when we want to have events down here on the Great Lawn, such as movie nights and other venues. So I wanted to briefly show that before I move on to some of the changes we've done to that slightly. So we had a playground committee made up of several board members and public citizens that sat on this board, and I think we had a total of 9 different people that were on the board. So what we ended up doing at the end of the day was shortening or making the playground area a little bit smaller. So no, that was Spectrum, because their pickleball contractor hit the Spectrum line, but it's fixed now. Anyway, it only took out the TVs in the fitness room, so we're okay. Anyway, so we kind of condensed this area down here because for many reasons. Costs were one, so we wanted to get more playground equipment in the area. But the entire area is still being graded. So this area here that was part of the plan is still going to be leveled out and flat. So what we've done essentially is created the next playground or next venue to go here. So we haven't used all the available space down there for playgrounds. We've left something for 5, 10, 15 years from now. They can do something else down here. It won't be me. Somebody else can do something here. And so you see where the curbing has been changed in these red lines, and the path has been changed to reconnect. So, and then what you're seeing here, these playground structures, this blue, is not, that's not the entire playground structure, that's the fall zone. So because of lawyers, we have to have these fall zones. I say that just because Alan's looking at me.
Correct the record, it's not because of lawyers, though. I mean, Judge, you would agree with me as a lawyer, that is not the reasoning for that being there.
It's probably for child safety.
That's what I was gonna
Oh,
say.
okay, all right.
Not because
We'll
of
go with
lawyers.
child
Been hurt in a playground accident?
And
We'll
we
go
are
with child
concerned.
safety then. But anyway, so there is actually, you'll see there's actually plenty of room in here. They're not actually touching like that. And this is where the two pavilions that I showed earlier with a walk path through, there'll be a gated area here and a gated area over here in this area. So with that, I'll get you, oh, yes, sure.
Is the savings that it has in the meantime to get the more items, is that because the surface, like is it about maintaining the ground? I mean, I don't know if is it wood chip?
Well, no, it's going to be a poured and play rubber surface.
That's what my estimate was.
Yes,
my
and
guess.
poured and play is very expensive. So if you consolidate your area down, you can get more playground equipment for your budget. And our budget was $500,000. So to put pour and play over this whole area would have cost roughly another $150,000, which would have just taken our play structures down in size and in scope. So we'd rather, the committee decided we'd rather maximize our space, leave space for future generations to develop on, and maximize our dollars with the most play equipment we could get.
I had no idea what that term was, but I knew that was
Yeah,
potentially
it's called
what the
poured and
concept-
play. So I'll focus on this picture here on the main structure. So this is the area closest to where my cursor is over here, closest to the road. Okay, that's where the two small pavilions will enter into. So as I kind of zoom in here, you can kind of see we have 6 large slides. It's a 3-story structure, roughly 30 feet in the air, and there are a variety of different slides. There's different climbing features throughout this. So there's multiple ways for kids to access, whether it's regular stairs, climbing up this rope feature, which I can show better in another picture, or going up this kind of lily pad type feature up to the second floor, getting them all the way up to the top level, and then coming down the slides. This is the best picture that shows these elements here, which are musical instruments. So these are kind of the instruments that you want your kids to play with in a park and not in the house. So we've got drums, we've got bars, we've got a xylophone here. And this is our larger kid structure, 5 to 12, and this is the 2 to 5 structure. And I'll point out here, just because it's the easiest angle to show it, this is a climb up slide for the 2 to 5. So as we know, if you've ever had little ones, they always want to go up the slide the other way. So playground equipment, people started making slides they could go up the other way. And so this one kind of has little footholds in it so they can actually climb up kind of like a mini rock wall. I'll also point out this feature here, which is a glider. So it's a ramp system that allows, there's a fully seated bench here, benches here, and places for wheelchairs. This entire unit moves and glides, so it's a totally interactive play for families or anybody. I'll also point out, anywhere you see these colored patterns like this throughout the system, those are actually touch panels where kids can move and interact with them. So they have different touch and feel patterns to them. It's very important on the autism spectrum. There's a lot of different things that can be done there, a lot of different moving parts that kids can move around. So each one of these structures, and you'll see them throughout both the structures that have the panels like that are interactive for the kids. So as we flip around here, this is kind of the other side. These are the panels that I say at the top, which are the ones at the top are designed if anxiety happens, and they're touch panels to help calm them down. So maybe they're anticipating going down this larger slide and nervous about it. There's different things up here on the inside that allows them to interact, calm down. You can see kind of here, there's another climbing pattern here. We have a ADA transferable stairs here. And this is another slide that allows kind of a racing slide down, but the side right where my cursor is a climb up slide. So you can actually try and climb up kind of a rock wall type setting. Looking at the 2 to 5 structure here, this is the climb up one. This is the basic 2-year-old slide structure there. I'll go in on, this is kind of the other side of the smaller structure. There's another slide on this side, more panels to see there. There are benches throughout the entire park. These benches are kind of just currently placed there. The plan is to actually place the benches closer to when we're laying it out and figure out exactly where we want them to go. But there will be at least 4 or 5 benches in the area. I'm going to skip down here because it's the best way to show this feature here. This is one we added late. This is a climbing rope feature. And as you can see, it has an entry area for handicap. And then it has ability for multiple kids to climb on it. You know, the pictures they show on the books show like 7, 8 kids hanging off of it. And the interesting thing is it spins in a circle too. So it not only is a climbing feature, but also goes around. And then we also have the 0 entry merry-go-round that's now designed with governors and everything, so it can't do like when we were kids, you can't hook your dirt bike up to it and see how fast around you can get to go. It won't do that anymore. And if you try it, we have a camera there, we'll watch you do it. But anyways, it will 0 entry in, there's benches in there to sit on, there's handrails, but it works like basically like your basic merry-go-round that we all know. And the best way to show the swings is probably on this one. So we have your basic swings. This is your handicap accessible seating on this swing. This one is something that's new in the playground industry. It's called an expression swing. And if you've ever had little kids, you've gone to these tot swings or these swings and you've pushed your kid from behind. In this swing, your toddler or baby can sit in this kind of basket seat while the adult sits here and swings with them. So you're seeing the expression on their face as they swing. So just imagine every parent's going to have their cell phone out and swinging and sending videos to grandma like, you know, they love this, you know, and they've got the laughs and the giggles, and you can actually see it versus just standing behind them and hearing it. So we've got one of those swings. We've got 4 of your basic swings, and we've got 4 of the baby swings. So that is, and these colors were all tweaked over by our committee and changed and altered, and we spent several hours a couple weeks ago doing all of this. And obviously you can see we went with a lot of the browns and the greens because of Big Spring and trying to keep it as natural looking, but also wanted to give a little bit of the color that would invite the kids in.
Rich, could you provide those photos to the Sun?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Any questions about the playgrounds or anything that we are doing?
Do those swings, I'm assuming, but are going to replace the existing swings in the Great Lawn?
Yes, there's nothing down there now but dirt. Everything has been removed. The playground equipment that was able to be saved, a teeter-totter and several benches, are currently planned to go to Marywood and Stonegate. And the large slide that was down there could not be recovered. There's 6 poles to that slide, and every pole sits in 160 pounds of concrete. And so when they tried to move it with their equipment, it pretty much just destroyed the slide. And so it had to be cut off and then dug up. But the only piece we could get at was the teeter-totter, and then the benches as well. And the memorial benches that were down there, I should say, many have questioned, will be going back. We've saved the plaques, and they will be going back on the benches that were listed for memorial situations.
Would there be any equipment for the Russelltown Park?
Nothing from here can fit in Russelltown. That'll have to be a separate budgeted item within the parks. Mary Bradley asked that 2 weeks ago at the city council, and I told her that's something that I'll look to put in next year's fiscal year budget to see what we can fit. It's a very small park, and as I showed those fall zones, you just don't have a lot of room to get anything that's not low to the ground in there. But we can definitely look at some pieces. Mm-hmm.
Other questions for Director Pictor? Yes.
I just want to say, it's beautiful. I mean, that's an amazing park, and I really like the canopies. You're trying to keep the heat off of it. That's really a good thing. Those things get really hot on kids sometimes.
Yes, they're not like the old metal slides that we had to go down.
Yeah.
But we are looking, and I will say that we do have some plans for some shade structures to come in, but we're waiting until after completion to put those shade structures in. One thought is at the far end where we've left open space of putting a shade structure there with a concrete pad, because we can easily remove the shade structure, rip up the concrete pad and develop more. So you may see shade structure either at the end or on the sides that comes in the next normal budgeting process, just to add shade for parents to sit and or read.
One more question. Speaking of shade structures, the one that's out at the county park, are people allowed to use that anytime, or is that restricted?
It is,
sometimes?
it is restricted to when Head Start is using it, which is during the day when school's in session, I believe. When school is not in session, when Head Start is not in session, like on weekends or after, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, then it is open to the public to use.
So during the day, parents can't take their kids out to that shade structure?
No, not when Head Start is in session. They cannot.
Okay.
Because that structure was not built by the county park. That was built by the Head Start for their Hispanic community Head Start that's in that building. And then I think eventually the current Head Start may be moving out there and using that same structure.
Yes, that'll be the goal.
Yes. I wanted to share just a couple other pictures while I'm here. This is your new pickleball courts, and that was the concrete truck out there today. That sidewalk has now been poured, and that is gonna be entranceway into there that will lead into the kind of shade structure will be right in this area, and then your pickleball courts will be there. All the rock is in place. The concrete's going in, was going in today, and I think will be done today. The next step will then be the asphalt, which essentially will, leave it down to the Tennis Technologies to come in and put their coating on and put the fences up, and then we should be ready to go in a couple weeks. I don't want to give any time frames because I don't know the weather, but hopefully soon.
And Director Pictor, the estimated time on the closure of Park Street in the park?
Yes, I don't have an exact date. They haven't given me an exact date. Right now, they're hauling in the dirt. They've got almost 6,000 cubic yards of dirt to haul in. I know that they're running 3 trucks a day, or 3 trucks every day, and the trucks are taking approximately 15 to 20 minutes on a round trip. But they got to bring in, like I said, 6,000 cubic yards of dirt. So it's going to take a while, and they won't necessarily be tearing anything up until that gets done. And then they'll start on the underground utilities and the pavers. The goal that I was told initially was 2 to 3 months from when they start tearing up the concrete of the street, which hasn't happened yet. So hopefully within the next couple months.
Perfect, thank you. Other questions or comments? You got additional slides?
No, that's all I have, unless
Wow.
anyone has any questions.
Thank you for that update.
Yes.
All right. I would just give an update that the Twilight Festival happened this past weekend. I'd give a big thanks to Rick Hartley and Jerry Cornett, our maintenance team. Jimmy Sewell in the sheriff's office. Sandy Jones kept her office open to register voters on Saturday, which was a great move. Kenneth Johns was instrumental in the planning, organizing, and helping with the festival. The detention center and jailer Michelle Rankin was important in the providing community service inmates. The Versailles Police Department, the EMS, and other county and government agencies participated in helping make sure that was a great event. So thanks to all of our county employees for their work in helping at the Twilight Festival. Does any other office or agency have a report for the court? Seeing none, we'll move on to the claims. The bills to be paid by this county are before you. Are there any questions or comments on any of the bills to be paid? Oh, we don't have the bill list. That's right. Let me explain that. So Beverly Flagg, our financial officer, had to have a procedure, a surgery done, and she's been out for over a week now, and she's back. She's doing well, but she's catching up on the bills for the bill list. So we will have that information to you as soon as we get it. But I am pleased to report that she's doing well and back to work, and has a lot of catching up to do because the bills are never ending. Do we have a transfers? And no personnel order. We do have the Young and New Farmer Grant Program. So we've got just a few edits and changes, and Madam Clerk, you were discussing that with Squire Varner. Do you all want to give a brief explanation of the court, how we are trying to tweak that a little bit before we actually send it out? Squire Varner, sir.
Thank you, Judge. I had one edit on there to incorporate FSA number, and that way, FSA, if there's a question on an applicant, you can contact the FSA office, give them the number, they can tell you who's on the farm, who's farming the farm, and it's just a balance, a check and balance on the application. So that's all I see.
Section C.
And that's in section C.
We're looking at it, section C, instead of parcel, it'll say FSA.
And other than that, everything else to me looks appropriate.
Contingent upon that edit, I would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the Young and New Farmer Grant Program application packet, including the guidelines and criteria as presented.
I so move.
Motion by Squire Varner, second by Squire Blackford. Open up the floor for any questions. Squire Taylor, you're recognized.
Sorry, just a clarification. So that's different than the FSN number, right? That's asked previously. Okay, I didn't make sure I was understanding that right. Thank you.
Yes. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. We do have the proposed first reading of ordinance 2024-08, the zoning map amendment for 106 Kids Mill Road. That is a map amendment and preliminary development plan for Tool Properties LLC. Although that's in the in Squire Brown's district, so I don't know if we should. Mr. County Attorney, would there be any issue if we held that till Squire Brown could be here to vote on that?
No, we'll just have to, yeah, because our only advertising is in between readings, so we're fine just to pass this to the next meeting if you wish.
We'll do that as a courtesy to Squire Brown.
Sure.
Seeing no other general orders or unfinished business, I move on to new businesses. New business. Item A is moot. There's no reason to take up item A. Item B is sheriff surplus. Sheriff Wilhoit has 11 X26 tasers and accessories from the sheriff's office to surplus to the detention center as a great act of cooperation and coordination and working together. We really appreciate that, Mr. Sheriff, and I know that Michelle Rankin in our detention center does as well. Is there a motion to approve that surplus? Motion by Squire Carl, second by Squire Varner. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. We have a facility use request for the Woodford Spooktacular. That's on October 27th from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Is there a motion to approve that?
Motion.
Motion by Squire Gill, second by Squire Taylor. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Our final item on new business is the approval of the Johnson Controls contract renewal for the fire alarm and sprinkler services at the annex in the amount of $3,638.94 for a 1-year term, effective October 1, 2024.
Motion.
By Squire Carl, second by Squire Taylor. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Before I call the vote, there is a question or discussion, Squire Gill.
Yeah, Alan George brought this up, that the requester should probably change from David Long.
But you might explain that.
We have been trying to do that for a long time.
Very long time.
Okay.
We've been working on that. There's a lot of other ones that still say it. Other ones still
Okay,
say
thank you.
communicating with each other.
Thank you for that clarification. Now, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to Madam Clerk, is there anything additional that needs to come before the court? Seeing none, I'll move on to magistrates. Squire Blackford.
Hey, Joe, I want to thank you and the court for having a moment of silence last night.
Yes, we're honored to do it. Thank you, Squire Blackford. Squire Gill.
I just want to say Dry Ridge Road is paved and it looks great.
Excellent. Thank you.
I should have said it while they were here.
Thank you. Squire Taylor.
I just wanted to recognize for tomorrow Patriots Day on September 11th and remember all those lives lost and remind everybody that those that don't have a day off tomorrow, that it's a day on and not a day off, to encourage folks to give back in that time.
Thank you, Squire Gentry.
Yeah, the Rail Explorers are having a meeting Monday, the 16th, from 6 to 7, for all the neighbors that they want to get in touch with.
Thank you, Squire Gentry. Squire Varner, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Just wanted to say that the 4-H Youth Livestock auction was a great success, and the monies kicked in from the rodeo and stuff really made a difference, and thank you to everybody that came out and supported the youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Squire Carl.
Absolutely. Judge, the Twilight Festival, we were there and it was amazing. That was a great event in our community. It was so many people, and I mean, I have not seen an event like that here in so long, and it was great to see our community like that. It was really nice. So I want to thank everybody for all their help to making that event what it was. It was really nice.
Thank you, Squire Carl. Squire Downey.
I just echo Squire Carl's sentiments. That's it, Judge. Thank you.
As he stares blankly at the screen.
We can't hear you. Squire Downey, that may be on our end. I'm not sure. But you want to try it again? You want to do a test? Unmute it there, maybe?
Yeah, I say I just echo Squire Carl's sentiments. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. County Attorney, sir.
No, but thank you, Judge.
I will also have no announcements, as we've had some long meetings and we need to get out of here. Thank you all. Have a great evening. If you need anything, Scott, let me know. God bless you. God bless Woodford County.